Hi, my name is Karolina Sieler and I am a former law lecturer here in London as well as the founder of firstclassllb.com. Today I want to talk to you about what is the OSCOLA referencing style and why you need to be using it in your essays. So the OSCOLA referencing style is essentially a guidebook for how you should be formatting your footnotes and your bibliography. And this specific style, OSCOLA, has been created by the Oxford University and is being promoted by the Oxford University, and this is the style that is applied by all of the UK academics that write about law. So if you see any journal articles that are on legal subjects, all of those will have the footnotes and the bibliography formatted in exactly the same way. And equally, this is the style that you should be following in your essays. Now, I know that it might sometimes be quite confusing as to exactly whether or not you should be following this style, and one of the key reasons why students get confused is sometimes they would go through their lecture slides, and if their lecturer didn't have the time to format a certain footnote or a certain, let's say, resource that they recommended, they might just quickly type in, the name, surname of the author, or and the name of the title of the textbook or the journal article, but they might not have exactly formatted it in the right way. So let's say a textbook might not be in italics, the title of the textbook, or the date might not be in the brackets, it might be outside the brackets. Don't be confused by these things. This is basically just a sign that your lecturer is working really, really hard to provide you with as many resources as they can, but their time is limited, and this is why they haven't had the time to format these resources properly. But you should still, in your essays, follow the actual guidebook that I'm gonna provide a link to down below, and make sure that all of the footnotes and all of the sources in the bibliography are OSCOLA compliant. There are also other types of referencing styles. We have, for example, the Harvard referencing style, which is used in the US, or there is the APA referencing style, which is used for psychology and generally social sciences in the US, and I believe also in the UK. Don't be confused by those. Don't just sort of type in referencing style and follow any of those, or referencing guide and follow just any link that you will manage to find. There are different types of referencing guides, and you should be following the OSCOLA referencing guide. Now let's talk about why it is so important for you to follow exactly the OSCOLA referencing style and not any other style, or not, just failing to follow any style at all and having inconsistent footnotes and bibliography. There are three key reasons, and each of them relates to a different part of the rubric, the grading rubric that your university is likely applying and your lecturers likely have to follow when they grade your essays. So a grading or a marking rubric or a table, however it's called at your university, is typically just a table that prescribes what's the percentage assigned of the grade assigned to different components, such as, for example, research or presentation or literature or analysis, legal analysis, or style. It varies between the universities, but in terms of footnotes and bibliography, so a proper formatting of those kind of falls within at least three different parts of the rubric. So in at least three parts of your grade, you are likely to receive fewer points if you don't create the footnotes the right way. The first part of the rubric that you might score, and you will score much higher if your footnotes are properly referenced and if your footnotes are properly formatted and your bibliography is properly referenced, is a part of the marking scale that says something like research or resources. And this generally relates to how well you have carried out your research, whether you have provided enough of journal articles in your essay, or have you just referred to cases and statutes. All of those things matter. And the key reason why it's important to properly format your footnotes and your bibliography is that if you don't do that, then your lecturer might just assume, or they might not be able to figure out from your footnotes which resources you have included and whether a particular resource is a journal article, a textbook, or some sort of a random website which is not very authoritative. So if you don't format your footnotes properly and your bibliography properly, even though it might seem like something very minor, it might really hinder your grade in overall. The second part of the rubric that you're going to score much higher if your footnotes and bibliography are formatted properly is something called presentation. Sometimes it's called style as well, but mostly it's called presentation or formatting or something similar. And the reason why you're going to score higher in there is because, well, unfortunately or fortunately, formatting of the footnotes and the bibliography is a key part, is a major bulk of the formatting that you will ever do in your essays. The other components of that specific part of the rubric are just basically whether you have used a font that is decent and standard as opposed to having several inconsistent forms, and whether you have formatted your headings properly in the essay, whether your essay has headings at all, and things like that. But the formatting of the footnotes and the bibliography really is sort of crucial in there once you've covered those basics. And the third part of the rubric, which is really important in overall, in the overall part of your grade, is something usually called legal analysis or evaluation, or legal evaluation. This relates to how well you have carried out your argument, how well you have linked different cases to each other and discussed them and compared and contrasted them. So it might actually seem like the formatting of the footnotes and the bibliography is not really that important to how you have carried out your legal argument. But there's nothing further from the truth. And this is because if you are able to use the formatting of the footnotes and generally the footnotes themselves properly, then you will be able to apply a variety of tricks that will strengthen your argument. For example, by indicating more cases in the footnotes than those you have mentioned in the main body of the text to illustrate a certain point. And this is really going to help strengthen your overall grade. Now, as I've said at the beginning, I have provided you with a link to the OSCOLA referencing guide below this video, but if you will really be struggling with finding out your way around the OSCOLA referencing guide and exactly how to use it, I have created an online course which is called First Class Law Essay Writing, and it actually contains a component, a lesson, that talks about the key, most important parts of the OSCOLA referencing guide and talks you very briefly through how to use it, because the OSCOLA referencing guide is extremely comprehensive and the vast majority of it just doesn't apply to you. You will not be using it throughout your LLB degree, but there are several key components there that you really do need to know how to use. So if you're struggling with that, make sure you check out the course. I'll also provide a link to it down below. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more similar videos in the future.